What does your essence non-verbally communicate? Now you have to understand that communication is simply to relay stimuli and information into a mind. And so when we are aware of your essence, the reverberation and emanation of your soul, what are you non-verbally communicating? When we look at you, what does the mind perceive about you, and what are you non-verbally communicating to the environment? You have to understand that most of you are non-verbally communicating abhorrent energy. Most of you guys are navigating space and time, reflecting mediocre, low qualities, and then allowing this to contaminate the one life you get. And so what we have to understand is that we perceive you and you are communicating this to the environment. And so most of you guys, you lack motivation, but the only motivation is the reflection in the mirror. And if that's not your motivation, well, then you have to operate from a state of desperation because you are doing nothing to fix that pussy bitch in the mirror. And so what we have to understand is that the qualities within your persona, the incorporeal aspects of your being are going to manifest in corporeality. This means that the intangible aspects of your psyche, aka the qualities that inhabit your mind, are going to seek expression through you. So the embodiment of your states, the embodiment of your traits is going to seek expression in the external world. And so when we say your reality is a direct reflection of you, it's to be taken literally because you are a reflection of your reality. And so most of you guys believe that your reality is okay, you settled for less, you are okay with where you're at and you don't need to progress. But what we have to understand is that life is an endless sequence of the perpetuation of the annihilation of lower qualities and the constant overcoming of anything that is reflecting negativity into your existence. And so then we understand and come to the comprehension that you as an individual, you believe that you're okay and in the all right position, but then we look at the intangible aspect of your being and the incorporeality of your reality, and then we realize that your mind is a big mess, and just because you will have a comfort zone, a circumstantial circumference placed on your existence, you believe that expansion is no longer needed. But this is overridden. We override the fact that you don't need to expand when we look at the universe and realize that ever since the beginning of time, all we did was expand and evolve. And so you to dilute yourself and then to lie to yourself that you don't need to evolve, when we look in the mirror, we realize that there's a lot of things you can improve about your life. And most of you guys are okay with where you're at until you experience more. And so what you have to understand is that your reality that you live once can be more. And where you are now is nothing compared to a denser, deeper, more in-depth, a higher bandwidth of self-expression deep within you, lingering, waiting to be found through the work of life. And so we have to understand that if you're not actively in motion, if you're not actively compounding through your development to create higher circumstances and experiences for yourself in the one life that you get, you have to understand that you will be a stagnation, depletion through time. And so we have to understand that the aspects that fund your existence is time, energy, and then this is channeled through attention. And so the components of your existence, the elementals of you being able to exist in essence, is time and energy. And so when you synergize and put this into synthesis, we have you in a presence, presently aware of the now. And so you can use these elements to become a competent, high quality, efficient individual. But most of you guys use your time and energy in a wasteful manner, thus equating your existence to waste, universal waste. And so you have to understand that your time and energy and what you produce therein is a direct reflection of your essence. And so if you put your time and energy into Pornhub, distraction, vape, and the lack of nobility to pursue development, we have to understand that this is a reflection of your essence, and you are non-verbally communicating this into the environment for people to perceive. And so then we have to understand that just because few people don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. There's a perceptual bandwidth of comprehension that each mind is individually operating on. And when you get into the eyes of a man or a individual who can see beyond, who has a bandwidth further than the average, you will now feel exposed in your essence for what you are in the entirety. And so we have to understand that you only live once. And if you don't want to develop and pursue more, if you're okay with being Pornhub, addict, lame, bitch, well, go ahead, rot, and die as that low-level deterioration of a delirious, apathetic piece of shit who can't stand the fuck up, step the fuck up, and do some shit to conquer some shit in life. Stay the fuck down, remain where the fuck you are, and remember who the fuck you'll never be. It's that fucking simple. No one's gonna force you to get the fuck up and do some shit to change some shit. No one's going to be there for you when you need yourself the most. And so what you have to do is become the individual that you need. You need to become the example you always needed by succeeding and proceeding in a positive direction for your life. And most people are okay with stagnating where they are in their mediocrity of the unfoldment of infinite subordination and uncoordinated directions to outcomes they don't even seek, and thus creating a reality, a feedback loop of constant distraction and escapism. And if that sounds like you, well, you could continue the cycle on an infinite loop, but remember that the distractions that feed your dopamine, that give you thrills and that make you feel good and then deplete you again as you continue this on an infinite cycle, well, you can exist in that modality of existence. But the target audience, and my audience, is obviously not those people. And so what we do is we exist in a modality of existence where we overcome the lower aspects of ourselves and we create a positive inhabitation through the habitual sequencing of self-mastery to conquer ourselves in every aspect of life, and then allow this to reflect this in the way we treat the endeavors of life. And so now we are reflecting and non-verbally communicating something of high quality that is distinguished in nature and higher in nobility in perception and expression. And so we have to understand that the conduct of your soul is a direct reflection of your essence. And so the quintessence of the point of this video is to reflect on who the fuck you are and what the fuck you non-verbally communicate to the environment. Because again, most of you guys are concoctions of synergized piece of low-level shit energy. You guys are shit energy, abhorrent and low quality. You guys are festering and pestering and contaminating the etheric planes of existence with your mediocre thought that lead to nothing. When we look at the accumulation of your thought, what the fuck is this going into? Because your time and energy, and these are equating to the synthesis of thoughts in your mind, and then these thoughts are accumulating and compounding and then seeking expression. And so the accumulation of your thoughts is what you express in reality. And so most of you guys sit there with a vape and passively incinerate yourself as you inhale the carcinogens that tear you from the inside out. Well, you're deteriorating from the inside out mentally, physically, and spiritually. So what we have to understand is that the actions that you have and put your time and energy into is a direct reflection of your barren, empty ass bitch soul. And so what we have to understand again is that if you want to equate and become more through time, well, you have to overcome these things. And so to you, it might be a smile and a walk through the park to passively kill yourself. But for those who truly love themselves at the highest of degrees, they will do whatever is needed to overcome what is holding them back. And they will tear it to shreds, because the will that they choose to encompass, to allow that to encompass their existence, a higher will from above to encompass you in the direction and trajectory of life, to unfold you in a higher outcome and a higher light for yourself. You have to understand that you are the own blockage and weapon to yourself. And so your habits is going to directly reflect the level of thought that you operate and exist on. And then your thoughts accumulate and then manifest as external expression. And so if that's what you express, well, we have to understand that the intangible aspects of your existence is poor in quality. Because if you're okay with passively killing yourself, watching porn, sitting there and watching TV when that hour could have gone into something to produce and synthesize something of higher quality, not just for yourself, but to others. You have to understand that the moment you become a high quality thing, you're not high quality for yourself. You are a high quality thing communicating high quality as a reverberation of your essence. And so you have to understand that you as a low quality thing, you are now a liability to everything around you. And so you may not be aware to the fact that you are, but again, when we step into the into the node of a higher perceptual bandwidth, we now can see you as the entirety, as you are a porn addict, deteriorating, delirious, apathetic, pathetic, waste of space and time, piece of shit, bitch, who doesn't do shit, but wastes the time that has been divinely bestowed upon them to create something in a beautified image of themselves instead of that low-level piece of shit, bitch. And so you should understand that the reflection in the mirror, you should confront that. And then when you confront that, you should do some shit to fix some shit before you die. Shit. Peace.